Hey guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another episode. We're doing a market update here, and at the moment, we're looking on BTC. We're going to talk about the current miners selling on the market at the moment, dumping on us, and that might have something to do with everything's going on with the debt ceiling bill that's being passed, and the ordinals issue with miners making extra fees off that, and everything else. We're going to take a look at the Nasdaq and the SPX as well, and then a few altcoins. So we're going to start off with BTC here in a pretty nice range here for a little while. It's been sort of boring apart from this one really nice rally that we had last week. Rejected here from the top of the range, pretty nice SFP, and then it came all the way back down there. So I want to see this reclaim the anchored VWAP, which starts from this point up here. So reclaim, that's going to be the first bullish thing that we get. We did break out of it here, but then, sold straight through it again. I think if it gets back out of it again, that will probably give us the juice to reclaim this order block here. And then we want to see it break out of this downtrend, right? That will give us the target for this level up here, which is pretty much 30K. And then 31K up here. Okay, so that's the basic high time frame pattern structure at the moment that I think is the major play right now, and that is just a falling wedge, right? This could always very easily roll over from here like this and come down and then tag this 25K level. I'll be looking to be a buy down at 25K or 23 as well, which is also a really key monthly level. I'll just show you that on the chart. Right, so it's this level through here, the monthly close from last year. Right, so we could come down and hit that 23K level. I think that'd probably be a really nice area to hold. If that doesn't hold, I mean, we're looking for 20K. All right. Those are definitely the bearish arguments. At the moment, though, if we go and have a look at the CME chart, basically what has happened is we had a really nice breakout and push over the weekend, and that left a big gap. So the market pretty much has spent the entire week pulling back and closing that gap. And it looks like we've had a little bit of selling pressure today into some panic, and that's been rebought back up at a key range low level, right? You can see that level through here on CME. But if we flip back to our key chart, whoops, sorry, this one, we can see that this is a really important level through here. Okay, so day 63 the other day for our 60-day cycle looks like it wants to continue to hold as the cycle low. I wouldn't mind seeing this end up closing on the daily as a morning star reversal, so we end up getting this type of action here for hopefully continuation afterwards, or this type of action here, right, that we just saw. If not, could see a engulfing, so we just get a bullish engulfing or a tweezer bottom here. Either of those would be good, but ultimately I want to see if it closes something like that. I want to see the next day candle closing, looking similar to this, right? At least getting out of this daily order block and back above that VWAP, right? Really important to note as well is this red line through here is the weekly 200 moving average. Okay, so looks like buyers want to hold and support this level with, the two times that we have touched it, immediate buying came through and pushed us back up. So while we're above that, I think, we have to look at the market as a good area to be getting in for looking for upside, especially to the top of this range, at least through here, right? If we drop the 200 daily weekly moving average, then yeah, I can get a little bit more bearish and be looking for 25. Or really, this level through here, I'm really looking for like 24,500, not 25. But that sort of area. And then if we lose that, then yeah, 23. And if we drop 23, it starts to get pretty ugly. I think we'd be looking for, around the 20K mark. But that would coincide with a weak stock market. At the moment, the stock market is very bullish. Okay, we'll take a look at that in a second. But that's pretty much Bitcoin. Hopefully that makes sense. At the moment, I'm still holding longs from back here. And I also bought some this morning as well. I thought this was a really obvious entry trigger. I'll just highlight this level one more time for you. So this was the daily wick low. That's always going to be a really important area when price comes back to it. We can see here as well in this sort of range, it was also the wick high from before we broke out of this range area that we're in for over a year. or sorry, I think it was like 10 months or something, not quite a year. Someone will get upset about me saying that. But a retest of this level here is, and to hold that is quite important. And I just saw this 1 hour pin bar come in there, and a lot of trapped shorts underneath this level because we did have the nice swing failure pattern through there, right? And this also was a 1 hour bullish divergence through there as well, okay? So, we're sort of looking for, a long position through here anyway, and then that really nice SFP to sweep the lows. Everybody that got in on the bull div here probably got stopped out by then and trapped in that area, and now it looks like it wants to move to the upside. We do have to flip this anchored VWAP through here first, and that will give us confirmation that this is confirmed as a bottoming pattern, and we're looking to move back up to the upside, okay? But yeah, basically I got long on this point here. Hopefully it continues and pushes to the upside. But if not, we've already looked at the levels I'd be looking for, okay? So that's pretty much BTC. Ethereum is really interesting at the moment as well because we've actually already broken out of the falling wedge. So back here, just going to a higher time frame. Back here when BTC was at its lows and Ethereum was sort of breaking out, we're in another sort of falling wedge pattern as well. And Ethereum actually broke out first, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check my memory on that by confirming on the chart. So I'm pretty sure Ethereum broke out first and then BTC broke out of its range. And we seem to be doing that again here. So we can see how the falling wedge get put in here. Key level of support is held from this low, right? And we've broken out and, had a little bit of a retest of that level and push into the upside. Now, important to note that Ethereum BTC is actually breaking out of its downtrend as well, which also looks like a falling wedge, right? So that could easily run up to the target is 0.7763 and 0.8. So 0.0, I should say, 8531, right? Which is pretty much the highs. And that's going to look very interesting on the dominance chart. Excuse me while I just move my head out of the way. This is going to be looking really interesting on the dominance chart through here. So this could end up sparking some sort of altcoin movement if Ethereum does take off versus Bitcoin. And if we break this level here, this 46%, and I pull back to here, we might see some altcoins start to take off and get a bit of a recovery because altcoins typically have been absolutely brutalized, and we're seeing a lot of, even the stock market, right? We're seeing a lot more risk-taking activity there with all of the AI stocks absolutely launching. So people are looking to go a little bit more risk on. We haven't really seen much movement in the altcoin market, getting any of those capital flows. So potentially now with China coming back on board with the opening of Hong Kong, there might be some movement there with the debt ceiling being raised as well. And so it looks like we're going to get an extra $4 trillion capital injected into the economy until 2025. So, that's a year and a half, an extra 4 trill. Pretty sure it's about 12.7% of the debt ceiling that's been raised. So that's pretty interesting to see that get played out, and that was confirmed overnight. I do have the article here to show you guys. So that was just updated a minute ago, but it has passed through the Senate now. So it passed through the House, passed through the Senate. So now the final thing, they're just waiting for, I almost said President Obama, let's face it, he probably is running the country, Biden, to sign off on it, and then it is through. One thing that has been keeping the price down as well is the miners have been selling, dumping on us, right? So that's one thing. I wrote a thread about it just before, actually. We can see here that a huge amount of Bitcoin was actually transferred to exchanges by the miners. One of the largest transactions was about 2,000 BTC worth yesterday. And they have been dumping on us fairly aggressively throughout this whole range through here. After China closed down mining and made it illegal in China, a lot of them packed up and moved to the US. And then Biden came out and they were trying to get a 30% tax on Bitcoin mining pushed through this bill. It's been taken out of it before it got passed. It got taken out last week. And now it's been passed without it in there, which is a good sign. And then on top of it, we also have the thing going on with the ordinals and the NFTs on the BTC blockchain. which is basically creating a lot more traffic, and miners are generating a lot more money from the transaction fees now on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? So they're generating more cash flow or more BTC than what they were previously. So they're dumping that extra Bitcoin on us at the moment, and we can see here on CryptoQuant, they have their mining position index, and they're actively selling quite aggressively at the moment, right? So that's interesting to see. And the reason why they're selling is because they're selling in accordance to getting ready for the halving. Basically, when the halving kicks in, it will drop from 6.25 to 3.125 BTC per block that they get rewarded, right? So the miners stock up first on USD, because once the halving happens, their basically cash flow gets cut in half, and they stop selling because they're not going to sell at a loss. And they wait for the price to appreciate to meet the cost of production. JP Morgan thinks that the cost of production should be post halving around $40,000. It's up roughly for the last year or so, it's been around $20,000. If we go and have a look at the chart, we can see on BTC that the price didn't spend very long below $20,000, right? So $20,000 is pretty much the baseline. The only time it went below there for a little bit was when the FTX bankruptcy happened, right? That was what it took to get it below the cost of production. So I wouldn't expect the price to stay below 40K for very long post halving, which is going to be Q2 2024. So that's something interesting to think about. I have also got a little bit of inside word and knowledge that China is actually giving out licenses for centralized exchanges for the mainland at the moment. So very interesting updates coming there. Hong Kong is just the first step. It looks like they're getting ready to full on legalize crypto there. And also we see CZ is spending a lot of time in Beijing at the moment and getting very close to the CCP. So there's obviously something going on over there. And I think everything is going to line up pretty nicely with the US monetary policy actions as well, because it looks like trueflation, we can see here currently 2.73%. Inflation is dropping pretty aggressively. So we could see, they're usually about 3 months ahead, we could see a September reading under 3% from the Federal Reserve. And that's going to be very interesting, because we could see as the Bitcoin halving, we're going to have demand coming in from China. We're going to have the Bitcoin halving cutting supply. And at the same time, we could have monetary policy kicking in with this extra $4 trillion alongside interest rates being dropped, because there's no reason, if inflation is coming down under 3%, there's no reason for the Federal Reserve to be holding interest rates so high and putting stress on the regional banks and the financial system in the US. So I think that will start to come down quickly. We can see here that most of them are expecting 2024 to finish at 4.25. I think that is probably going to be a fair bit lower. They will always inflate the numbers that they're expecting it to hold up to, in my opinion, and that is because they don't want the market to get overly bullish and react, because that would be inflationary, right? So in my opinion, they're saying that the interest rates are going to be higher than what they really believe, and it'll be lower than 4.25, in my opinion, probably mid threes by the end of 2024. So keep our eyes on that. But yeah, the other thing as well that's pretty interesting going on right now is stable coins, exchange buying power, right? And we are seeing more stable coins come onto the exchanges right now than BTC and Ethereum coming onto exchanges. So that's a big flip that has pretty much been since the end of December, has been very negative in the other direction. So, that means that there's more buying power versus there's more demand coming into the exchanges than there is supply coming into the exchanges, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Look at Bitcoin, Ethereum. Let's take a quick look at the stock market at the moment, and when the House passed the deal overnight. Basically, we've got a nice little push up here. So at the moment, the stock market is looking fairly bullish, consistently making higher highs through here, right? Through most of this range, I was looking we look at regular trading hours, it's a little bit more obvious to see, but all of the big volume came on red and down days, right? But we're actually starting to see some big volume coming in on the green days now. So I was expecting this to be more of a distribution type range, which I thought didn't really make sense because, in my opinion, this was most likely the point where we flipped from being in a bear market into a bull market. And that was in the middle of the regional banking crisis. And the Federal Reserve came out and said, we're going to back all the banks, right? And what happened was retail went heavily short here because everyone was like 2008 2.0. Everyone went really heavily short here and the market basically rebounded aggressively, right? So in my opinion, that was the point where Wall Street saw an opportunity to get everybody trapped offside in heavily going into shorts while they loaded up. And we're putting that really nice inverse head and shoulders structure off the long-term downtrend. If you go back and look at my videos, I talked about this a lot at the time, and yeah, it's been playing out pretty nicely. So it didn't really make sense that this, even though it was starting to look like a distribution range, it didn't make sense for it to be one. And it continues to defy the odds and push up, and now we're breaking through range highs at the moment. The next level to test is 43. Right, and we'll see what happens to prices up there. I wouldn't be surprised if we did a fake out of this level and then pulled back over, maybe do something like this, and we're putting a low here, and then the new low there, and consistently making higher lows, trending up, and then eventually we just go into a sideways chop. That's if we continue to get good news over the rest of the cycle. Inflation continues to come down, unemployment continues to stay pretty low. We do have unemployment numbers coming out tonight, actually, so keep your eyes on that. Unemployment rate is expected, previous to 3.4. We're expecting it tonight to be 3.5. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. If that doesn't shock, to the downside of 3.2 or something like that, it's going to be difficult, in my opinion, for the Fed to raise rates again, unless we do have some big jobs numbers that are unexpected. So if this comes out at a 3.6 or something like that, it'll start to show a few cracks in the unemployment starting to rise, which the Fed wants to see, right? Who knows if they're going to raise again or not at the next FOMC. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. I think they're potentially going to do one more, but we'll see. I think there's strong arguments for 0 and also for one more hike. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think this will most likely be the last one, just because inflation is starting to drop so much. I can't see them, I can't see them putting through another hike after this and going up to the high fives with inflation being so low and unemployment still not really being an issue as well. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. It's going to get really interesting though, but those are the key things to keep our eyes on. So GDP numbers is the other one as well. If we start to see a slowdown in GDP, that could lead to unemployment rising. So let's keep our eyes on that moving forward. So that's pretty much it, guys. I wanted to also have a quick look at some altcoins. XRP looking really nice here. Just had the inverse head and shoulders play out, right? I actually took a long entry from here. It's been playing out pretty nicely to the upside. So this could break out of its range highs. Actually, we've been in this range since May 2022. So over a year now, we've been sideways in this range. This could eventually break out of here soon because they do have the court case coming up. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that ends up playing out. It looks like they're going to win the court case versus the SEC, and that could really see XRP take off because it has been damaged significantly by that court case. And then I think the target's 8.6. 1.38, and then the previous all-time high is $1.80. So, decent rally from where we are at the moment. Let's see how that ends up playing out. I like a couple of coins at the moment. So Alchemy doesn't look too bad off this level here. Nice support and resistance flip. Sui is an interesting one as well. They just sponsored the Red Bull F1 team. This is a new coin that just came out, layer 1 blockchain. And yeah, they're already going very hard on marketing. So it might be one to keep our eyes on. Maybe it's going to be like the new Solana or something like that, that makes a bit of noise in the layer 1 space for the next cycle. but they're obviously going to go very hard and aggressive on marketing quite early. Solana's looking pretty juicy here. Really nice reclaim of the range lows. If you looked at my last couple of videos, did talk about a breakout of this downtrend and a reclaim of this range low through here. Magic is always outperforming, so keep your eye on that. Pretty nice support and resistance flip of this order block through here, right? So keep our eyes on that one. I think it's at a pretty key level. Reclaim of here is going to be interesting, and that opens up more potential upside, at least to run up to maybe 1.58. APT was a massive outperformer as well. It looks like it wants to round out. A nice break of the downtrend here, but just wasn't the right time. Let's see if we can get a reclaim of this level through here. I think that's going to be pretty important. That was kind of, the first push high. So that would be a nice reclaim and sort of flip back into a more bullish stance. And we could have some sort of inverse head and shoulders type shape start to build through here, something like that. So maybe a nice entry through there. Litecoin is one that's really interesting at the moment, getting a nice push, and also rallied yesterday versus BTC when BTC had its pullback. Coming into the halving pretty soon, end of August. These are the targets, 132, 150. So those are the main ones I'm looking at. Let's quickly look at BTC, Litecoin on the Bitcoin chart. Really nice move up yesterday versus Bitcoin, while pretty much everything else crashed down. So reclaiming this order block through here is a strong sign, in my opinion. As long as it can hold that, I'd like to see it push back up to this downtrend, which has been in play for quite a long time. So it's a really significant downtrend level. A breakout of that moving into the August halving date could be very bullish. So keep your eyes on that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you all in the next episode.